When we think of the Death Eaters, we imagine Bellatrix Lestrange casting some vicious curse, or Barty Crouch Jr. firing Mors Mordra into the sky. There's even Lucius Malfoy using his sway within the Ministry to manipulate any situation in his favour if needed. Their face masks are super intimidating, and their accompanying black robes don't help the fear of facing them one-on-one either. They are Voldemort's inner circle, his entourage, his go-to people for side tasks that needs to be addressed and completed. To sum it up, you don't want to cross a Death Eater on a bad day, or even a good day, or any day. Despite the aura surrounding them, not all Death Eaters have had such a powerful impact as the big names like Bellatrix, Barty and Lucius. There's quite a few who really aren't that talented and just appear like basic pawns, who wouldn't really be missed if they were killed or disposed of. In today's video, I'm going to take you through 10 of them. 10 of the weakest Death Eaters to wear the Dark Mark tattoo, the face mask, the robes. Let's kick it off with number 10. Guys, before we start, I'd like to talk about today's sponsor, Surfshark. Surfshark offer you an incredibly powerful VPN to protect your internet privacy. In today's computer age, hackers are constantly trying to gain access to your bank account details, your social media passwords, and access to your personal information, amongst many other things. This can all be prevented when browsing under Surfshark's protection. Not only does it protect your privacy, it also offers you a lot more. Different countries have different viewing restrictions on what content can be viewed. Therefore, by logging into a VPN based in another country, you can gain access to that content that may be blocked in the country that you live in. For those of you who've always wanted to watch the full 8 Harry Potter movies on Netflix, but haven't been able to in your own country, you can simply select Turkey on your Surfshark VPN location and have full access to every single one of them. It's that simple. If you join Surfshark today, you'll get 3 extra months for free. All you have to do is enter my code, POTTER. You'll also be able to use Surfshark on as many devices as you like. There's no limits. And finally, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Basically, if you're not happy, if you're not satisfied, then your money will be returned. It's a no-brainer, guys. So sign up to Surfshark right now by clicking the link in the description below. Crabbe Sr. Good old Crabby McCrab. It's only a given that the father of someone as idiotic as Vincent Crabbe would not be the most efficient Death Eater around. This lack of wits and common sense makes Crabbe Sr. nothing more than a common foot soldier who doesn't really have anything special to offer. He was scolded by Voldemort for going into retreat immediately after his original downfall and basically only caring about his own self-preservation. His most notable moment in the books comes during the Goblet of Fire when he was about to cast a killing curse on Hermione, something that would have had drastic consequences, but our Super Hermione was never going to fall victim to someone as weak and spineless as Crabbe Sr. Number 9. Gibbon. Now, I made a video about Gibbon a couple of years back because I thought his story was quite interesting, for the wrong reasons. A fairly unknown Death Eater, Gibbon is a name that most people won't even know of unless they check out the books, as he's never mentioned once in the movies. Even then, he's just so forgettable that it can easily be assumed that this Death Eater is anything but useful. He was basically like a seat filler, there to make up numbers but never really effective or switched on to the situation. And speaking of being switched on, he was more switched off when it came to his death, as he struggled to read the situation on what was actually happening. Poor old Gibbon was the recipient of a rogue killing curse that was cast by a fellow Death Eater. He will only be remembered for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Fare thee well, Gibbon. We barely knew ye. Number 8. Jugson. Jugson. Another Death Eater who let his ego rule over his actual ability and talent to be able to actually execute what he wanted to do. For what it's worth, Jugson is one of the few people on this list who actually tried to make a name for himself. During the Battle of the Department of Mysteries, he split off from the group of Death Eaters and tried to capture Harry on his own. It didn't work out so well for the below average Death Eater. He was hit with a Petrificus Totalis curse and captured shortly after, which resulted in him being landed back in Azkaban. Jugson did manage to escape the prison and participated in the Battle of Hogwarts, but was literally non-existent the entire battle, doing nothing worthy of memory. Number 7. Walden McNair. Walden actually got off to a good start when he managed to infiltrate the Ministry of Magic after his stint as a Death Eater, and somehow still managed to end up being absolutely useless and ineffective. He never managed to execute Buckbeak when the Hippogriff was sentenced to die after Lucius Malfoy's incessant complaints, but it's more surprising that he reduced himself to the role of executioner in order to appease Malfoy should events ever take a turn in the Death Eater's favour once again. During the Battle of Hogwarts, he served as a way for Hagrid to show just how useful he could be in the proper circumstances. The half-giant flung him into a wall at full force, knocking him out and rendering him ineffective for the rest of the battle. Number 6. Mulciber. The issue with good old Mulciber is that nobody knew where the hell he was during Voldemort's return to power. He was a Death Eater during the First Wizarding War, he did his thing, he went home, but he just never showed up at the graveyard when the Dark Lord summoned everyone once again. It's actually funny because Voldemort went on a little rant about those who didn't show up and that they would all pay, but never actually bothered looking for Mulciber. He wasn't even mentioned. He just kind of faded out of the story, which means he probably wasn't all that valuable to the fold anyway. Number 5. Nott. Another member of the early Death Eater Guard, someone who had an initial close relationship with Voldemort as he was recruited personally. Nott did not seek out his master after Voldemort's defeat at the hands of an infant Harry Potter. While he was pardoned and taken back into the group, he was far from effective in his role. He was nothing more than a foot soldier who ended up injured during the Battle of Hogwarts. His fate is unknown. He probably ended up back in Azkaban if he was found injured, who knows. It just shows how little everyone cared about Nott and Mulciber, who I mentioned before him, including the author herself. Number 4. Augustus Rookwood. Here's a name you might be familiar with, especially from the books. The most notable thing that Rookwood is known for as a Death Eater is being captured not once, but twice, which means he's not that great at escaping overwhelming situations. The first instance happened when Igor Karkaroff, the headmaster of Durmstrang, outed him as a spy in the Ministry of Magic, which was substituted for Barty Crouch in the movies. Rookwood participated in the battle that occurred in the Department of Mysteries and got imprisoned again. He was rescued only to be incapacitated by Aberforth Dumbledore during the Battle of Hogwarts, following which many people assume that he was imprisoned for a third time, which would be a great bit of justice indeed. Number 3. Evan Rozier. You might recognise the Rozier name from his relation to Vinda Rozier, who was Grindelwald's right-hand woman in the Fantastic Beasts series, but that's about all they have in common. Evan was a nasty little piece of work and extremely loyal to Lord Voldemort, joining him immediately after graduating from Hogwarts. He was obsessed with the dark arts from his early days in school, but wasn't very good at composing himself to be as effective as he should be, which made him more of a hindrance than an ally. He was hunted down and killed without hesitation by Alistair Moody. Number 2. Thorph and Rel. Thorph and Rel left a trail of destruction in his wake as a Death Eater, burning down Hagrid's cabin and using the Cruciatus Curse on Harry during the infiltration of Hogwarts in the Half-Blood Prince. You might think, well, how does this make him weak? Well, it's easy enough to point to one, guys, but it's his mindset that wasn't the strongest. It was pretty poor if I'm honest. He cast the Killing Curse without proper execution, missing its mark and hitting a fellow Death Eater instead, and he didn't even care. He failed miserably when trying to capture Harry Potter and had his memories altered by Hermione Granger after he was left incapacitated. Number 1. Sulwin. Now, this is a name that's quite irrelevant, which is no surprise as to why Dolores Umbridge claimed to be from the Sulwin family, hiding her half-blood status. While Sulwin was mentioned a few times during the events of Harry Potter, he was notably absent from the Battle of Hogwarts, despite being an active Death Eater. His last contribution to Voldemort's cause came when he tortured Luna's father, Xenophilius, to figure out where Harry was. Voldemort considered him a liability in the conflict due to his ineffectiveness, and it's not known what happened to him after the war. There you have it, guys. That is my 10 weakest Death Eaters. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and make sure to look out for the next video because it just might be a little bit better than this one.